Hello all, and what is on screen should be quite a familiar sight for regular viewers of this channel. It's a copy of The Dragon magazine. This is number 18, this is volume 3, number 4, September 1978, still costing $1.50. Also, it should be a familiar sight to see my ugly mug in the corner as well. Anyway, let's focus on the more pleasant stuff. The cover, with the exception of the old man's feet and the smaller guy's face, it's a decent cover. I love that faded out citadel in the background. That looks wonderful in the craggy landscape. It's Dean Morrissey. Dean Morrissey did a good cover a couple of issues back, and if he could have just got that face right and these feet hadn't looked odd, then it would have been great. It's still not a bad cover. It's still better than what a lot of the other TSR artists were doing around this time. So yeah, it's all right. The childhood and youth of the Grey Mouser, Insanity in D&D. Oh, that's interesting. Beginning Gamma World, campaign mixing. I read the Fritz Leiber books in my teens. A long time since I've even considered looking at them, but maybe one day, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. But Insanity in D&D, that'd be interesting. Gamma World, campaign mixing genres, perhaps not my thing. Val Parther, once again, bad advert, good minis. Council of the Five Nations, October 7, 8 and 9. October the 7th, 8th and 9th. I'll stop being a pedantic old nerd at some point. Or maybe I won't, because that's what you love about me, isn't it? Wargame Minicon in upstate New York. Okay. And, let's have a look at the editorial and the table of contents to start with. Features Traveller, Childhood and Youth of the Grey Mouser. Is it the first time they've featured Traveller? Don't know. I mean, obviously, we all know it's a game that went on to be a staple of role-playing and still going 45 years later. Variants: Insanity, a method for madness, new spells in D&D, Pandora's Box, Chamber of the God game, testing your player's alignments, monkish weapons, effective use of poison, NPC characteristics. That looks like an interesting array of articles. Good. Reviews: Traveller, The Emerald Tablet, Imperium, Pellet Quest, Cosmic Encounter, Alpha Omega, and Fantasy Forge. Well, Fantasy Forge, as we know, is a complete waste of space. Most of the others look like they're sci-fi. 1978. Didn't the first Star Wars film come out in 77? So they're riding on the coattails of Star Wars fandom sort of going around this time. I remember all the kids at my school were collecting Star Wars figures and things like that. It was the big thing. I never had any Star Wars figures. I wasn't into any of this sort of stuff when I was a kid. Not when I was 7 years old. Or 6 when this magazine came out. Scale Electric, perhaps. Used to like that. Designers Forum, Magic, governed by theory, laws of magic. Boot Hill Town Design, Wild West Towns. Sorcerer's Scroll, beginning Gamma World. Boot Hill Birth Tables, campaign mixing. I have to see how some of those articles go, because that doesn't appeal to me quite as much as the Variants article does. And then we've got Dragon Mirth with Phineas Fingers, Wormy, and All-Star Snits. A return to the Snits game from a year or two before. I don't know. Oh, they haven't credited Dean what's-his-face on the credits here. That's a bit disappointing. Right, Tim Kask looks like he's talking about Origins, which would have been a big thing at the time. Origins 78 was big. The attendance was estimated at being anywhere from 3,500 to 3,500 to over 4,200. Right. Obviously, conventions are much bigger now because you've got the effect of the internet spreading word around, and travel is easier, and the hobby is just bigger. So, what was it? UK Games Expo about 40,000, and there've been some expos in America and Canada I know that are bigger. So, yeah, but I'm guessing back then about 4,000 people. A lot of nerds in one room. Let's continue. Traveller. Strategy of survival. Okay. I've never played Traveller. I've never read a rule book. I know people speak very highly of it. I'm just not into sci-fi, I suppose. And people have said, oh, you might like a certain theme of Traveller, a certain style of campaign, and perhaps I would. But I've got so many other things to play at the moment, and why would I squeeze something in I'm not really enthusiastic about when there's 3 or 4 games on my shelf that I'm yet to play that I am enthusiastic about, as well as OSE, Call of Cthulhu and MERP, which I know I enjoy. So it's one of those things. Yes, too many riches. So there we go. Notice they're doing this splitting up of articles again. I have been forewarned that it only gets worse. I will try to chunter less about it, but I can't help myself. Advert for the Advanced D&D Player's Handbook, but of course, a review of Traveller. Right. Probably the biggest review they'll have done so far, I would guess, on the reviews page. Yeah, it's an in-depth review. Look, it's got normally they're 1 column or 1.5 columns. This one looks like it's going on to the next page. Yeah, it looks at almost 4 columns. And itchy nose. How positive are they? Unique sci-fi game, probably the best of the role-playing variety. Offers a colourful but consistent future for players to adventure in. I guess that's why it stood the test of time then, because they like. Well, didn't stand the test of time because they like it. It's because it is those things. Emerald Tablet, a miniature war game by looks of things. Fantasy game with miniature figures. Imperium, sci-fi. From Games Workshop. But I don't remember it. Pellic Quest, computer moderated role-playing games. That's going to be play by mail. Blimey, 1978 for play by mail using computers. I first discovered play by mail gaming around 87, 88. Played a couple of games. Enjoyed them. Good fun. Obviously, it's still people still play by that way nowadays. I know there's some of the old games I used to play are available to play by over email or submitting web forms and what have you, which I think takes some of the enchantment out of it. I used to enjoy filling in these cardboard things and sending them off, and then sit there waiting for the postman a few days later. Is it coming? And then the postman wouldn't arrive before I left for school. I'd hurry home from school and it'd be there, and I'd lose. But they seem expensive for what they are nowadays. Insanity, or why is my character eating leaves? Right, okay. Being a Call of Cthulhu fan, I often play in games where insanity features. Have you ever screamed, okay, so he's insane, now how do I handle it? If you have, then chances are you're a little bit bonkers yourself. Disagree. In fact, you're more likely to be a little bit bonkers if you go, oh, he's insane. Now I can really lean into this. I think that shows a little bit more of a twisted mind. I quite enjoy playing up insanity. All the stereotypes and all that sort of thing. It's fun, but you don't do it over the top. comic book style insanity is a bit wearing. It's a bit crap, really. But that sort of brooding. The dreams, make them go away. They haunt me every night. They haunt me. They're haunting me. Where are they? Where are they? Leave me alone! And all that sort of stuff. Yeah, why not? But it looks like it's mechanics based on a saving throw for intelligence, which is fair enough. To bring it into a D&D game. Why not? Why not? It's a crap first paragraph, but the rest of it seems good so far. Insanity chart. Of course, you got those in Call of Cthulhu as well. Nutty, kleptomaniac, perverse, psychotic hatred, childlike trusting. Are you my friend? Schizoid, severe paranoia, acute paranoia, gibbering, suicidal, violent and catatonic. There's a nice mix there. There was an insanity sort of trait table in the Dungeon Master's Guide as well, wasn't there? In terms of random NPC personalities. I wonder if this had some effect on it. Some effect on that table. Because in places it did read as though Gygax was pulling in from a number of sources and almost making it up as he goes along. That's what made the Dungeon Master's Guide such a damn good book. So, yeah, decent little list there. Obsessions. Where's obsessions? Obsessive behaviour. That's missing. Obsessive repetitive behaviour. Phobias as well. Where's psychotic hatred is different to a phobia. If you develop a particular phobia in a game, it can be interesting to roleplay it. And it's something that DM can just probe from time to time. Right, so we're seeing splitting up of articles again. Traveller continued from page 4. This guy's looking for a new food source. Are you it? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Rumbles from page... It's a long editorial. This is the rest of Tim Kask's editorial. Another 2 pages. I guess there's a lot to say about Origins, isn't there? It must be a lot to say about Origins, and you've got the award winners. See D&D on there. Don't recognise a lot of the names. Just D&D, really. Did I see Ral Partha on there? No? I'm sure I read Ral Partha. Well, yeah, there. Best line of fantasy wargame figures, 30mm or less. Ral Partha, yeah, I did see it. So those are the only names I recognise on there, though. Apologies for all the cars going past. It's a busy time of day in the road outside. Right. And it continues on the next page as well. Origins softball game. Conjures up images. We nerds are not known for our sporting exploits. I know some of us are, okay, I'm a bit of an exception in that I've done a lot of sport in my time, but most of the people I game with aren't big sporting types. So I wonder what the standards of that Origin softball game were. Okay, yeah. So it's 2.5 pages, the editorial. Wow. And it continues. Page 19. Bloody hell. New spells in D&D. Cure for an ailing campaign or killer of a healthy one. Well, if you need new spells to cure an ailing campaign, I think there's other issues at the table. Killer of a healthy one certainly can be if you don't get the balance right in the new spells, because I love the idea of spellcasters crafting new spells, but you've got to include the DM in the process, and it's got to be a bit of a collaboration where you work out the strength and the pitching of the spell, what level it should be, all that sort of stuff, and try and keep it to the theme of the player character and the theme of the campaign. Yes, it can kill a healthy campaign if the DM is too generous and the player tries to grab too much, or it's a sort of spell that is just really repetitive or something like that. But Cure for an Alien campaign? No. Enhance an already good campaign? Definitely. Definitely. So we've got a load of new spells here. I'm not going to read through them because the version of D&D these will be referring to, I'm guessing, will largely be OD&D. So I don't know what the spells were in OD&D. There's some of these that extend and combine. Those sort of names were used in Rollmaster and MERP. But I can see their D&D mechanics in there. But new spells were... One thing I always liked getting from new hardback books were new spells, and as long as they've been properly checked and tested, and added a new level of creativity to the game, then great. Magic, governed by laws of theory. In most dungeon adventures, magic, or at least its detail, is treated rather casually. A player says, my magic user casts sleep on those orcs. Dungeon Master replies, all right, 6 of them fall asleep, the other 10 are still coming. But what words did the magician speak? What gestures were made? Why did it work? Well, it worked because the rules say so. What words did the magician speak? I mean, they might be relevant. You might be able to make them relevant. But it's not always necessary to know. Of course, a player can lean into the flavour. I've seen that before, and it was really effective. One of my players a while back, he was playing it was a 5th edition game, a Warlock of the Great Old Ones, and he used to drag Cthulhu phrases and boom them out, and that was good. That was good fun. But he didn't do it all the time. He just did it when it would have the greatest impact, which is how it should be approached. A DM should never require a player to do all this sort of stuff at the table in order to cast a spell, because that's just silly. It's just silly. But add a bit of flavour if you want, when it's appropriate, and maybe have a special ritual for certain spells, a one-off spell that you require the players to read out in the moment, if it's a big one-off thing. I've done that in Call of Cthulhu before, where the players have to take it in turns to read out their section of a ritual, and it adds to it. Anyway, apart from that, I'm going to skip on through. Let your town have a purpose, or how to design a town in Boot Hill. I was thinking to just go to Google Maps or an old resource showing old maps from the 19th century, but of course back in the late 70s you'd have had to go to a library to find that sort of thing. I mean, that's how I like to create towns now. You look at the layout of old towns and use them as a guide, and obviously develop them and tweak them. I mean, how many Boot Hill towns were based on Tombstone or Deadwood? Never know. But using it as a basis is fine. Absolutely fine. But these little things, these things that help the DM, and these sort of suggestions in how to create a town, are all good. Like to see that. Say DM. What was the DM called in Boot Hill? Referee? GM? Don't know. Right. I never played Boot Hill. Alpha Omega is not my thing. Fantasy Forge is a waste of space. I mean, look at it. Look. Absolute waste of space. I mean, it might be just the quality of the reproduction for this PDF, but what is the point? And the same goes for this Space Squadrons advert. If it came out like that in print, then it is a waste of a page. The Chamber of the God game. Let's have a look at this. This is the alignment thing. The 5 adventurers entered a sparsely furnished room deep in the dungeon of Hazard Keep. A table, a few chairs, diffused light without a source, no other exits. The door shuts behind them and locks. even though they had both spiked it and secured it with a formidable hold spell. On the table is a scroll and a set of 4D... Is that 4D6? It looks like 4DG, whatever that is, but it's probably 4D6. Kendrick the Wizard examines the scroll and reads it aloud. The message, in common tongue, is simple, direct, unnerving. You have entered the chamber of the God Game. Welcome. There is only one way out. A test of courage and self-sacrifice. One among you must voluntarily risk his life to save the others. Right, okay. Some D&Ders will recognise the God Game from a scene in John Fowles' grand metaphysical dungeon novel, The Magus. In D&D, the game offers many variations depending on the alignment of the God Game Master, a god or unchallengeable wizard, and posited on the probability that the scroll holds one or more falsehoods. Okay. So it's a puzzle with alignment involved, an adaptation of a puzzle in literature. I might read the rest of that in a bit. That sounds interesting. Okay, we have one more paragraph of editorial in here. And more magic theory. Gamma World, setting up the campaign. Okay, enjoy. Birth tables, Boot Hill. What we got? Social class, professions, ranch-related professions, drifter types. That's interesting. So, it's whether you use it for player characters or NPCs, you can create some interesting combinations here. And my general approach tends to be let the players play what they want, unless they always play the same thing, and then maybe add something, a bit of randomness. So, I'm going to roll randomly this time, just to take them out of the comfort zone, get them to try something else, because that adds spice to the game. But yeah, again, these sort of tables, they help a DM create a world. Quick NPCs, few dice, there we go. Where do they fit in? How do they fit in? Brilliant. Like it. Good. Still never played Boot Hill. More spells. Back from page 13. What page are we on here? We're on page 21. You may wonder why I'd moan about this, but look, I have concentration issues, and if an article keeps stopping and starting, I get distracted. I'll see something in between and forget what was happening, and it's really, really infuriating, and it's really unnecessary. I get why people, in comments to my last video, people mentioned, oh, newspapers do this all the time. Yes, you put grabbing headlines on the front cover and the first part of a news story because they're trying to create a sale. So they're grabbing headline there. It's like, oh, I might buy the newspaper because of that headline. So they might put 2 or 3 headlines that make you go, oh, on the cover, and then more of it inside. But they don't scatter articles over 3 or 4 sections with 7 or 8 pages in between all the time. Well, not at least not what I've seen, unless America's different. So I don't think there's really any excuse for it. Guidelines for mixing campaigns. Don't. Okay, I like a little bit of horror in my D&D from time to time. Otherwise, don't. It's a hill I will die on. Monkish weapons, monk versus monk combat. If you're running the Eastern theme, yeah, that's good. I like martial arts. I like watching good martial artists. I trained to a decent level a few years back. Haven't done it for a little while now. I need to get myself fit again, really do. I've got a good belt at judo, and it's one of my proudest possessions. So I am a sucker for good martial arts combat systems, but they don't always fit in every campaign. But if you're running a Far Eastern themed campaign, yeah, go for it. Go for it. Notice they've got the names of Naginata and the Yari here. Naginata spear, the Yari spear as well, and nunchucks, terrible weapons. Sai. What else have we got? Names of some of the attacks. Yeah, add a nice bit of colour to a game. Another bit of an article tucked in there. Hidari. Wrist. Hidari, wrist. Or does Hidari mean cut? I should know. I'm sure there's a judo throw with Hidari mentioned here. I won't be doing cutting. Was Hidari left? Must be left. Yes, Migi and the Hidari. Yeah, it is left. I've forgotten so much. Effective use of poison. Yes. Having every poison save or die. Yeah, it is a little bit boring. I like to see other poison effects in the game. Mild poisons that might just incapacitate you for an hour or two while you're busy throwing up, or it comes out the other end. You can have dizziness, stomach cramps, catatonia, hallucinations, all these sort of effects from poisons. And that's a lot of fun. Of course, you can have death as well. I mean, a very deadly poison might have you throwing up to the point where you're pulling off your stomach lining for a day, and then you make another saving throw at the end of that day to see whether you die as a result. That would be... it's more flavourful. Much more flavourful. When I ran UK4, When a Star Falls, there was a poison in there which was supposed to be save or die. I changed it. A character drank the poison liquid in our game, failed the saving throw, and I said he basically starts clutching his stomach, feels a racking pain, it doesn't look good. So they decided to flee the dungeon and run back to a druid friend they'd made in the hope that he might be able to heal them. Spoiler, he couldn't. The character died, but it was still a lot of fun. Okay, moving on. Adverts. Phineas Fingers, which I don't read. Wormy, which I do. 22, 24, 26, 27 bucks. Hot dog woimy. It's that sort of American accent. I'm rich. 640, 660, 680. That's great, Irving. Now go fix them lunch for the landlord. What on earth are dem trolls up to now? I'll be fullback and you play the goalie. Yeah, give me a big fat soccer ball. Hey, you guys got your games all mixed up. A giant pool table with 16 identical balls, and he says we're mixed up. 4. Crazy trolls. Make that 15 identical balls. Good damn, what the hell is that? I mean, who's to argue with trolls? If they've just made up a game called Troll Ball, then that is their prerogative. I'm not going to argue with trolls who want to play Troll Ball. Doesn't matter if it's a blend of other games, it's Troll Ball. It's their game. Childhood and Youth of the Grey Mouser by Harry O. Fisher. It's a bit of... it's fiction. Right. This artwork is terrible. And... sorry, but the first thing that came into my mind was it was suggestive and a little bit inappropriate. Yeah. No, terrible piece of art. Terrible positioning of the child. Move along. Move along. Move along. More suggestive art. What are they doing to those cats? Of course, it's the childhood of the grey mouser. So, yeah. Naked ladies. Semi-naked ladies. Again, it's not great art. It's quite poor. The Dragons All-Star Super Snits review. Lots of different snits for your snits game, which was published about a year, 18 months beforehand, if you still had it. Okay. More Grey Mouser. More dodgy art. Oh, this is better. Gee whiz, this fighter friend of yours has been acting and dressing very strangely ever since he reached 8th level. 8th level fighter. Superhero. There we go. Yes, on his chest. That's decent. Of course, McLean, these sort of little cartoons featured in the Dungeon Master's Guide, added a little bit of fun to it. Non-player character statistics. What are these? These look like random shopkeeper things. Not so much personality traits as generosity traits by the looks of things. And quality of work. Again, these sort of things might help a DM. Could use reaction rolls to produce this sort of effect, but obviously some artisans are going to be meaner than others. That's absolutely fine. Sort of thing we like to see in a game. That's all right. That's all right. That quality of work, again, yeah. Stupid Stalker. I said, bring me a wizard. That's Wizard. And the Invisible Stalker has brought a lizard. McLean knocking it out of the park with the cartoons. I did see another one earlier. I'm sure there was one earlier. There it is. I didn't read it. Gentlemen, I have reason to believe there is an orcish spy among us. Yes, yes. Yeah. Good. Right, summary. Should we have a summary of what we think of this one? Decent cover, apart from the child's face. And the contents. That variant section, excellent. Yeah. Great. Those are the sort of things that I really would have got my teeth into as a fledgling DM. The reviews, not much of interest, but as I did say, this is 1978. We're on the coattails of Star Wars being big, and I do remember Doctor Who being quite a big thing in the late 70s. All my friends like that as well. I did used to watch Doctor Who occasionally. Wasn't the Blake 7 as well? Yeah. Not sure whether that was mid-70s, mid-late 70s. Remember it being around in the early 80s. The designers bit, the Boot Hill stuff was good. Other stuff, no interest in that. That Laws of Magic was a bit meh, a bit pointless. But all in all, I think that is a good issue of The Dragon. A very good issue of The Dragon. Interesting articles, interesting topics, short and digestible. Well done, TSR. Possibly the best issue so far. I've been the Old Geek. I hope you've enjoyed this read through. See you in the next one.